Hi again, and thanks for watching my second video blog post. It's been a little while. I was kind of overwhelmed with the whole thing, but I got really upset today by something, and it's been something that's bothered me for a long time, just the concept in general. So I thought I would talk about it with a little more clarity. So essentially, I was on Instagram today, and I get a message from, I'm sure you all know this account. It's called College Babes, and it posts lots of pictures of people's butts. That's about it. So I get it. Like, kids who are excited about going to college are like, oh, it's going to be party life. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. But essentially, they asked me if I wanted to come on like a trip for spring break for them to film and like take pictures and all this stuff. And at first I was like, oh no, I'm going to New York with my mom. Of course I was flattered. Like, that's like, okay, cool. But I asked them just out of curiosity, like, how much are you paying the girls that are going? Like, is this like a job, like a really good opportunity? And to my astonishment, the girls who are going to be in the video where it essentially exploits them, like, no, nothing is off limits. They are paying their own expenses, paying for their own flights, and not being paid, while the guys who run this account literally just sit back and make money off of their investors or their ads or whatever it is that they do, while these girls are the ones like putting their bodies out there for free for the sake of just being noticed on Instagram. Like, they just want followers. They want to feel special, like we all do. I get it, but it made me really mad, and it's made me think a lot about some of the problems with our society as a whole. One other thing, also, the pictures on that page, the girls pay, I think it's like about $100 to get posted. I had a friend disclose that to me. So the girls aren't selected. They pay these guys to put pictures of them on the internet. So that I find that really sad. So essentially, I wanted to think about what it was that makes these girls motivated to want to be seen and noticed so desperately that they're willing to pay and exploit themselves just because they want to be seen. They want to be noticed. They want notoriety. They want fame. They want to feel special. They want to feel like they're different from everybody else, like there's something distinguishable about them. And I think we can all relate to that feeling, especially in California. There are a lot of beautiful people out here. It's definitely hard to feel special. I think one thing that we've come a long way from is feeling special within our own groups of friendships. We, instead of focusing on being really special to a few really close people, we would rather be noticed by hundreds of people or by thousands of people. We've replaced intimacy with notoriety. In a really interesting study, this is actually in the UK, this wasn't even in the US, about 1,000 16-year-olds were surveyed, and they were asked, what is your career? When you grew up, what would you want your career to be? And 54% of them said that they wanted to become a celebrity. Does anybody else remember that being their dream when they were a kid? Like, we're like, oh no, like, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an astronaut. And now culture has shifted to where we would rather be famous than have a dream of doing something that little kids should want to do. And look at the role models that these kids are looking up to. It's like girls who are putting their butts on Instagram. Kylie Jenner. Like, okay, that's a problem. So essentially, we want to be seen by many people, but known by very few people. So we've become very uncomfortable with vulnerability and sharing about ourselves and actually getting to know other people. And as humans, we have that need for connection and intimacy in that way. And we have replaced that. We've been trying to fulfill that need instead by being noticed. There are many forms of this, not just Instagram. Even like when you go out to a bar, like, it feels great to be noticed. It feels good to be talked to. People are always on the prowl, like, who's looking at me? what we wear, what car we drive. We want to impress people. We want to give them a perception that we are something. We want them to see our best face forward. It's very common with social media. We all know why we do that. Everyone knows that everyone does that, and yet we still do it. And by getting those little affirmations through all of these different outlets, we feel okay from day to day. We're like, yeah, like I've got my social media community and I have a few people I'm kind of friends with, and you might even have your close friends. But when that becomes so prominent in our lives, when such a large percentage of our time is spent focused on these outlets, less and less of our time is focused investing in the people who are actually around us. And we begin to feel more empty, less fulfilled, and we don't know why, because we've got our group of friends, we've got our friends we go out with, we've got our work colleagues, we've got our social media followers, we've got all of these things, we've got our fancy stuff that people admire, and yet we still feel unfulfilled, and it's because we are lacking that intimacy with the people around us where we can actually be vulnerable. We don't have that safe space. We put our best foot forward, but we never are able to actually talk about the really hard stuff or have a safe place to share about things that you may have never shared with anyone. So by suppressing that stuff and pushing it aside and just putting out all the good stuff, we're missing out on some really awesome parts of life where the real community, the real relationships are formed, and where some real healing can be done by sharing about the harder stuff we've gone through. And that's just so important. So that was a little bit of a rant, but that's about all I have to say for right now. But I really encourage everyone just to think about that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with social media. Definitely a great way to stay in touch with people, all that stuff. I just think that we should look at whether or not it's being used to try and replace something that we feel like we need, and just to kind of consider another way by investing in the people around you. So I hope that was like inspirational in some way, or just something to think about at least. And it's Monday, so happy Monday. Good luck with the rest of the week, and I will hopefully be posting about once a week. So stay tuned.